All right, welcome to the Sports Porch Pittsburgh. Thanks for being here, guys. We are live right now all over the world. We are live on LinkedIn. We are live on YouTube. We are live on X. We are live on Instagram. Thanks for joining us on Instagram, guys. Drop a comment, say hello. We are live on Facebook.
The Gram.
We are also live. Believe it or not, we are live on internet radio, on our internet radio station, Radio PGH. I just put that link in the comments. You can stream it live, so you don't have to look at our ugly faces if you're driving in the car.
Speak for yourself.
We wouldn't want to scare anybody. Okay, fine. My ugly face.
Okay. It's
my
okay.
ugly glass.
Don't bring us into your funk.
Every trio's got an ugly face.
That's true. That's true. And right now it's mine. I understand.
And that's okay.
Well, I shaved. I shaved, and that makes me uglier.
Yeah,
you did not shave.
Kind of razor burns.
You were definitely not clean.
Yeah, razor burns.
No, that's dandruff. Do you ever get dandruff?
Are you
up
sure
here?
it's not like what do they call it? Like alopecia?
No, Mark. It's plaque psoriasis.
Okay,
that's like the condition of the decade now.
No, I get dandruff in my eyebrow.
All right, listen.
Great cream.
Listen, if you're watching, nice. Where do you get it from? Never mind.
I'm not about to tell you my sources.
Nice. I want to welcome the Fantasy Alpha crowd on Twitter/X.
What up,
to the show? Thank you very much. Hopefully, you'll enjoy the show as much as we do.
Yeah.
We got a comment coming in already.
Oh yeah,
it's my mom. It's my mom, Janice. Hello, Janice. Thank you for being here.
Janice. From her in a while.
Well,
Welcome back.
she likes to watch in silence.
Yeah, she's smart.
Yeah, she is smart. And so anyway, we're here to talk about sports, Pittsburgh sports. Of course, we know Yager's jersey was retired.
Yeah.
The weekend, we'll get to that. We'll get to the non-existent Steelers news right now. Spring training, their first spring training game, I think, is this weekend. I'm not sure, but the Buccos are firing up. I've got some thoughts on that because the Bucco report is coming back next week.
Woo.
And of course, Hockey Jesus is in the house.
Jesus.
Very exciting stuff for Hockey Jesus. He's got his own little sub channel on YouTube. So I encourage you, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's the Sports Porch, black and gold. You'll see it. Hockey Jesus preaches after every game. We'll get there.
Preach.
We'll get to him. Even though we call this
right here.
I know. Well, that's what I mean.
Get to me.
Yeah.
I'm right here.
Yeah. And then what happens
people.
is all of a sudden you're not right here. See? So just don't piss me off tonight. Anyway.
I can do the same, by the way.
Yeah, that's right. You're the guy in the middle tonight, by the way. You're the guy in the middle.
I'm like the guy.
Soulwax79 on Instagram is back with us. Thanks for being here, buddy. He did say sell fire all except Sid. Listen, Soulwax, we'll get to that. Hockey Jesus has a lot
going on there.
He's got a lot to talk
about. Coming around to your thinking.
Yeah, and for those of you watching on Instagram, the comments that you drop, they don't come into the queue that I see, so I have to pay attention to them on another screen. So if I don't get you in the show, please just be patient. We'll try. Drop your comments. theporcheslive.com is our website, and of course, you can call into the show, and I'll put the number up there at some point. But let's get right to the meat of things before we go on to everything else. And then we do have headlines that mean something tonight and what we're watching. Amy May is in the house. What's up, Amy May?
Hey,
how you doing? Thanks for
Amy May.
She just likes to keep an eye on her husband.
I don't blame her.
Yeah, she's like, is he really going down there to do?
No, she's our number one fan.
She is the number one.
She is our number one fan.
Yeah. She's a great contributor.
DG
is back.
To say about it.
DG, what's going on? What's happening?
David, I hope you brought your
what's going on, DJ? Hey.
And I got to give a shout out. Schwaber, show us the shirt real quick. Just you got to stand up. I know it's hard.
Oh, yeah.
Shelby Company Limited. Anybody know what Shelby Company Limited is? Drop it in the comments. We know what it is, but I love that. I love
you
that
might
fucking
win
shirt,
yourself absolutely nothing.
That's exactly right. Tell them what they win, Mark.
Nothing.
You win absolutely nothing.
Bragging right.
All right. Let's move on.
Good television.
Yager.
This isn't the prices, right?
Jaromir Jagr. Yags return, celebrate 68. Drop your comments. How did you feel about that? I'd like to see if he embarrasses me, is what Amy May says.
That never happens, Amy.
No.
Yeah.
He only embarrasses himself.
Rhoda thinks I look pretty good, clean shaven too. But Rhoda likes my beard too.
You are not clean shaven.
Yeah, I don't think she's biased. If anybody on this planet has enough dirt on me and could hate me, it would be Rhoda.
Okay.
I don't think she's the only one.
I think you kind of have a blabbermouth. I think a lot of people have dirt on you.
Yeah, that's funny.
Right.
Okay.
Can we get to the celebration?
Can we talk
please?
about Yags?
Yeah,
Yags.
sure. Okay, as everybody is familiar with, but Celebrate 68 was yesterday. Jaromir Jagr comes back to Pittsburgh
From Mother Russia.
from
No,
he's from
he's from
Czechoslovakia. What is your
Czechoslovakia.
problem?
Same thing.
That's what happens when you have a Ukrainian.
Probably
He's
when
from
he
the EU.
probably when he joined the Penguins, it was still the Soviet Union, huh? No.
No, that was when did that happen? 89, right? 89 is when the wall came down, right?
I don't know. Amy was saying that Yags looked
68.
fantastic. Amy said.
You can put the comments up, that.
There's a
Robert. You
reason
can
he
put-
wears.
You told me not
68.
to last time.
All right, then don't. All right. Yeah, Yags looks fantastic. Well, he's still playing hockey at 52. you know? I mean, and he owns the team.
And a nice looking Russian girlfriend.
T Melodia on Instagram says it was an awesome
23
ceremony.
years is younger.
Hey, look, let's get into this here for a second.
Let's
All right.
do it.
Yager. Now, me not being, I know there's no Czech Republic anymore. Solwax. We're just dumb Americans. That's
Belarus.
Don't give us history lessons on.
We're all over the place tonight.
Yeah,
it's just because we're having such a good time. Yager ceremony was awesome, says DG on his comments. Very moving when he thanked his parents and his mom. Broke down. 5 scoring titles, 4 in a row.
4 in a row.
Where is he in? And we're going to go right to Hockey Jesus for this, and then I want to hear Mark's take on the Grand Schwabini's take on this too, because he's a big hockey fan. Where is he in the annals of hockey history? Not Penn's history. We'll get there.
Hockey history?
Yeah, I mean, is he top 10?
Oh yeah, definitely top 10. Some argue top 5 actually.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's so hard because there's so many different hockey eras, but definitely in the what I call the new era, which is basically the Gretzky era and further out, right? Before that, the game was kind of like mostly 6 teams. And, in the 6-team era, to me, I mean, all those Montreal teams that won like 6 Stanley Cups in a row,
right?
It's impossible to compete with them, right? And then, Bobby Orr came about and put Boston on the map, right? But then after that, then you have the Gordie Howes and the Phil Espositos of the world.
Espo.
And you have that era, right?
Didn't Phil Esposito play baseball? That was Phil Rizzo.
There's a lot of
Espositos.
I'm just kidding.
In Boston and Chicago.
Italians.
Yeah.
So I kind of have to set those guys aside. So I'm talking basically 1980-ish and beyond. Right. So clearly you got Gretzky and Lemieux, right? Then it really gets fuzzy because after that, I think Yager belongs in the conversation soon after that. Because if you think about it, Yogs came in right after Gretzky and Lemieux were going at it back and forth for like better part of a decade, right?
Yeah.
And then when he came on the scene, there was really nobody his equal. If you think about it, the reason he had so many scoring titles is because nobody could touch him. I mean, he was playing with Mario for some of those years, but remember he retired and then he came back and the Pens were in such financial distress. I don't know. I think he's top 5. I have him probably 3 or 4. I mean, you got to put Bobby Orr up there and those guys. But if you kind of set those guys aside in the new era, I don't see how he can be really just behind Lemieux and Gretzky. To be honest with you,
yeah.
What do you think, Mark?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'd have to really think about it to put together.
Just your gut reactions.
I mean, I would say top 10. Top 10 for sure.
But I think you get to him like even after you start naming some of the all-time greats, like
you could put like Messier you could put in there.
You could put Messier.
You could.
I wouldn't argue with.
And then if you're going goaltender, you could put Brodeur in there.
Well, I don't think you can say
You're not saying
goaltender is
goaltender.
hockey player because that they're their own category if you really think about it.
Right. I mean, think about like who's the best defenseman we've seen in our day, like Nicholas Lidstrom.
Lidstrom would be up there.
Yep. Maybe even I wouldn't say he's that high, but like a Pronger is kind of
right. Now I think you're
maybe
going
top
below
20.
Yager, right?
Yeah. But he's certainly there. I mean, he was very good. I mean, to be honest, let's obviously Lemieux gets the lion's share of the praise and rightly so.
Yeah,
I mean,
but-
I believe he's the second best player to Gretzky of all time.
And I mean, you got guys like Phil with Bork, right? You know?
Yep, Ray Bork.
Yeah, Ray Bork. But I mean, he didn't really win anything with Boston. He had to go out to Colorado to get his cup. So it's really difficult to say because I mean, Yogg's got his Stanley Cups in his first 2 years, and then he didn't get anything after that.
Yeah, But I would say he was so critical to their success. I don't know that they win a Stanley Cup without him.
So
yeah, I agree with that.
So
100%.
you were talking. This is interesting that you bring up the Messier Yager comparison because I've been hearing a lot about that in the last 24 hours when people were asked to compare. So I've got their stats head to head here.
I'm sure Yager's stats are better.
Well, here it is. In the playoffs, Messier was 1-8. And
what do you mean 1-8?
Yeah, what is that? 1-8. Never mind. I don't know what that one is.
No.
Well, it says Yager was 8-1. I don't know.
Is he a starting pitcher?
Yes, he had a hell of a football.
Yeah. Was 4.75.
Messier played 1,808 games to Yager's 1,733. So you kind of call that even.
Yeah.
695 goals for Messier to 766 for Yags. 1,203 assists to 1,155. 1898 in points to Yags 1921, plus minus 322 for Yags 201. Points per game. How does it 217 points per game? I'm guessing I don't know what these stats mean, to be honest with you, but
that doesn't make any sense.
Yags isn't in the Hall of Fame yet.
Well, because Messier, he hasn't retired,
right?
Which is stupid.
Officially, which is dumb.
Yeah.
It does say did Messier have 6 championships?
Yeah.
Okay. We had one with the Rangers, right? That was their first one in a long time.
And then I guess the rest were with Edmonton.
And Yags had 6. He had 2 Hart trophies. Yags had 1. Yags did have 5 Ross trophies. The Conn Smythe went to Messier once, not to Yags. All-Star 5 times, 8 for Yags. I mean, I was putting
him ahead of Yager just because I felt like he was more of a two-way player.
Oh, this is head-to-head. In the regular season, Yager head-to-head against Messier was 27-14-4. The teams, and playoffs 8-1, 1-8. That's why. Yeah, head-to-head. But that doesn't mean shit because
Krista Flitch. Yeah, you gotta throw in.
He's got a very good list here.
You got to throw in
Gordie
Ovechkin.
Howe, or Messier, Ovechkin, Yager. I would not put Ovechkin in front of Yager, and here's why.
I think there'd be a lot of Capitals fans that would disagree with you.
Well, for sure, and they should because they're his best player. Look, Yager would be the best player on almost any other team except for the Pittsburgh Penguins and potentially the Edmonton Oilers, right?
Right.
So wait a minute, guys. I was just trying to show the Coca-Cola can because we're doing a subliminal trying to get a sponsor thing, and I just popped a whole bunch of Coke out of it right on my face in the microphone.
You're brilliant.
I'm full of shit.
I'm making a point, and you're shooting Coca-Cola. So anyway, my point is that Ovechkin's a one-trick pony. He scores a lot of goals, but he's second to Crosby in his era, right? So you have to put Crosby ahead of Ovechkin if you're going to do that.
There you go, straight from the mouth of Hockey Jesus, who is a Penguins fan.
But I absolutely agree that Ovechkin, because he probably will eventually break Gretzky's goal record, will be probably top 5, 6 all time.
So you don't put him in the top 5 yet, Ovechkin?
Oh no, I would put him behind Crosby for sure.
Yeah, and CD says Yager, like Durant, 1-0 without another start. But that's the question. That's a question you really can't ask. Like, would Yager and the team around him have won cups if Mario was on a different team? We don't know that, and vice versa, and you and I were talking about this a little bit last night. It's like, we can sit here and say, well, Mario without Yager, that he might not have won cups.
He didn't.
Well, that's true.
He didn't.
Okay.
I mean,
so
you don't have to speculate on that. He didn't.
But they were also building a team over time.
Yeah. I mean, he played with Sidney Crosby and he didn't win a cup.
what that was at the end of his career.
He actually didn't even make the playoffs that year.
Yeah, that was at the end of his career.
Yeah, that was Crosby's rookie year, and that was the only year he played with him. And then he retired, and then the Penguins went on to win
3 cups
without Lemieux. With Crosby and Malkin.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You're right. I mean, it's such a team game. You can't really say they won cups with one player. You just can't do it. Like if you think of those 90, 91 teams, and most of the players were on the ice for Yager there, which tells you what kind of human he is. They really liked the kid when he came up, but then he really turned into a man when you think about it, because over time, what did he say? Like he said he asked to be traded. You know, when he was traded out of Pittsburgh, everybody was so down on him because it was like, not only did he get traded, but he got traded to Washington. Well, Washington continued to suck for a while, and he said there was a lot of reasons for that, but he said he just didn't fit in the right system there, right?
Right.
So it really, but going back to the 90, you know, the teams of the early 90s, late 80s that the Penguins set up, they had Hall of Famers up and down the whole lineup. I mean, Yager, when he came in as a first round pick, had to play on the 4th line with Brian Trottier.
I thought that was amazing.
I mean, and the thing that struck me the most when he said that was he was thankful that the coach never sent him down and he got to play the full year, because he learned so much just by being even on the 4th line. He was disappointed he wasn't out there on the power play. You know, he was disappointed that, you know, he couldn't be out there getting more minutes, but he learned so much just watching those great players. Yeah. I thought that was really insightful, not just to learn about how Yager learned the game, but for future stars in a league to think about that when they're playing on the 4th line. Make the most of every minute, be thankful for every shift you get, and go out there and play your heart out, because eventually you could be on the 1st or 2nd line running the show.
Yeah. And another thing, he grew up on a farm, I guess, and I know his workout regimen was legendary. But he started at a young age doing 1,000 squats a day, like without weights, but, and I started
picking up wheat.
Yeah. And
shoveling the hay.
Well, I started thinking to myself, at this advanced age that I'm at right now, maybe I'll start doing squats with no weights.
I think you need to. I think I'm going to get you a bucket of hay you can squat with.
Thanks.
It could help. It could help.
So?
Yeah.
You think so?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
1,000 squats never hurt anybody.
That's why we're friends. You guys are always looking out for me. I really appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it was a great tribute. You know, the way it came about was really interesting too. You know, with Borky basically going over to Europe for a trip, and he stopped by to see him, and he said, you know, hey, did you ever think about coming back to Pittsburgh? And and Yager was basically like, they don't like me in Pittsburgh, because he remembers when he would come back with the Flyers and get booed,
right,
and the Rangers and get booed.
Yeah, well, that was more about the uniform he was wearing.
Right, and that's exactly what Borky said. He was like, no, dude, you're loved in Pittsburgh.
Yes,
you should come back.
Yes,
and then that's when they came up with the idea of retiring his number, and it's just a great tribute to a kid who came into the league when literally we were just growing up in the same instance, and just took the whole league by storm. I mean,
he really did.
And not only that, but then he went on to play for 8 other teams in the next 13
Well, he became
seasons.
A mercenary at that point. Yeah.
But like everywhere he went,
he was actually still pretty good.
He was still very good.
You know, late in his career.
And then he played for the KHL, and then he played for his own team in Czechoslovakia.
Yeah.
I mean, he's played the whole world. He's played the game of hockey in the whole world, if you think about it.
Yeah, and he's still playing.
But I actually think they should just put him in the Hall of Fame as soon as he announces his retirement. I don't know that he will, be honest with you, because he said he still loves to play the game.
Well, can't he announce his retirement and still play in Europe?
No, he
really
can't. No.
Well, the whole thing, it's just stupid.
It's stupid.
Yeah,
he's not going to play in the NHL.
Right.
They should just put him up for a vote in the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
He'll get in first ballot, and they should just
be done
immediately. You know, I think there's like a 3-year thing where you got to wait 3 years. He's waited long enough to be in the Hall of Fame. Just get it done.
T Melodia on Instagram says, I love the old 29er. That's Bork, right?
The old 2-9er. Yeah.
Yep. And Amy May, of course. Did you see his young hot girlfriend, Amy?
Oh,
we see every young hot girlfriend. I hate
he
to say
even
that.
made mention of her.
Yeah, he did. I thought that was
beautiful lady from Mother Russia.
Yeah. What is it with the Mother Russia bullshit?
Stop with the Russia.
Yeah, and if you're going to do it, get a better Russian accent. I mean, come on.
I don't see you trying one.
That's because he doesn't live in Russia.
I must break you. Yeah, see, that's pretty good.
Okay.
That was good.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yes, I must.
So you realize
My name is Arcady.
you realize that the next jersey they retire is probably going to be Sid or Gino's, right?
Well, there's been a lot of talk about that, and the first question I want to ask you, Hockey Jesus, about that is there another jersey you think the Penguins should retire now that is not retired?
No.
Okay, that was easy.
You should ask Mark that question, though.
Mark, is there another jersey
Sure.
that the Penguins should retire that is not currently retired? I mean, the jersey. Okay, who?
Mark Recchi.
Okay,
The Wrecking Ball.
The Wrecking Ball.
The Wrecking
I
Ball.
did love the Wrecking Ball.
He was.
Why not?
He was great.
Was he on the Flyers before the Penguins?
He actually
didn't he go back
the
and forth?
first 4 years were with the Penguins, and then he
Right.
went to the Flyers.
But then
Right.
didn't he
And
come
then
back to the
He was traded in the
yeah.
Tocchet deal that brought Tocchet to
He went
Pittsburgh.
back. He went back,
But
and
he came
forth.
back to the Penguins.
Yeah, he
then,
did
right.
2 stints with the Flyers.
Gotcha.
It was like 12 years, I think, with the
Okay.
Flyers.
Okay.
He won a lot of cups. I'll give
Yeah.
you that. but
Why
he
should Recchi be? Why should Recchi? Was he number 8? Was he
Yes.
yeah, man, I do know more about hockey than I thought.
Mhm.
But why should he be? Why should his number be retired in Pittsburgh? I mean, he was a great player.
Because he's a Hall of Fame player. If you make the Hall of Fame, you should be on the team's Hall of Fame.
What is it about?
No, it's different. It's different than retiring a jersey.
Well,
He is on the team's Hall of Fame by making the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he's in the Penguins
Right.
Hall of Fame.
Here's the slippery slope.
so
you
he
go
is
down.
in the Penguins Hall of Fame. He just doesn't have his number
The
retired.
Penguins don't have
Oh.
a Hall of Fame. They're not stupid like a lot of other teams that create these Hall of Fames.
I mean, like the Steelers.
like the Steelers recently did.
You think
like,
that's dumb?
Dude, they overdid it. They're letting everybody in.
I understand.
If they would just maybe take one name, they could go for 25 years before they would even get to the people who are going to be retiring from the Steelers now.
Right. Okay.
You know what I mean? They dumb it down by doing that. And this is the one thing I like about the Steelers. You used to like about the Steelers. I mean, the Steelers don't retire jerseys, right? They just did Frank.
It's the no fun zone.
Yeah.
They
I know.
no.
No cheerleaders, no jerseys retired. Why the hell would you even want to go to a game?
Hey, maybe
I don't even have a ring of honor.
I am going to mute you guys.
Maybe once in your 70-year life, you can actually see one jersey retired.
Yeah, wouldn't that be
Isn't
nice?
Pittsburgh fun?
Yeah, it's incredible.
I think we should retire
Well, this is a
everybody
Pittsburgh
who played really good. Everybody gets a retirement jersey. Yay, you get a retirement jersey.
Yeah.
You get a retirement jersey. No, you get a retirement jersey.
T Melodia on Instagram says the Steelers in the 70s. Seriously, they all belong there. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you.
And that's the same thing with the Penguins in the 90s. Like if you do Recchi, then you got to do Trottier, who already has his jersey retired with another team. Then you have to go and you have to do Francis. Then you have to do the goalies. You probably got to do Brasso now that he's in the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Eventually you have to do. It goes on and on and on and on, and it'll never end.
Well, see now, okay, so that's an interesting point then. So then I propose,
you save it for the elite.
So I propose this to you then.
Okay.
Okay. So if you go that route, then I say you don't retire Evgeny Malkin.
Well, I'm not. I don't think he's rock solid in.
Yeah,
I think he should be.
I think they talk about him way too much. Like it's like, you know, like it was like, you know, Lemieux and Yager and, you know, Crosby and Malkin. Malkin kind of sucks for a while.
No. Last couple years.
He was very, very good. He
tore it up.
6-7 years.
He tore it up.
I don't know. I've never been impressed with him.
I'm a little bit more on Mark's side on this one, but you have to remember when Sid would get injured, he would take over the team.
Okay,
when he was rock solid.
Yeah. Which there was a time when he was great.
All right, so Malkin, let's go down here. Okay, Malkin's stats: 1,115 games played as of the stats on the Penguins website right now. 487 goals, 783 assists, 1,270 points at a plus 48. I mean, and he's on a team, 3 cups, 2 of them back to back.
And he won an MVP.
He never won a scoring title, did he?
He did not.
Okay, but he got close a couple times, right? He was chasing Ovechkin.
Really.
No, not really. Okay.
But if we're going, it's for special players.
Right.
Elite players, then I say no.
You can argue that a hockey player who has won an MVP and has 3 cups is an elite player. You could argue it. I would still say he's second behind Sid for sure. So if you're going to do it in order, you have to do Sid before you do Gino.
I do Letang before I do Gino.
Well, so now you're starting. To me, it's like when you go Letang, now you got to go Fleury. And if you got to go Fleury, you might as well go Francis, and you might as well go Recchi. You know,
just because Letang plays defense, though. I mean, he's not going to have the goals and the assists.
So Gonchar was really good. The only thing you could say for Letang was he played his whole career in Pittsburgh and was their number 1 defenseman of all time. But he never won a Norris Trophy. So it's like, where do you go? He never won an MVP. You know,
I think if you're part,
I think that's a tough one.
I think if
you're talking about elite, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're talking about being at the very top of your team, he was probably there as a defenseman, but would he be in the top 100 of all time NHL players?
Maybe at the top of it.
Maybe like in the 90s.
Yeah.
Well,
maybe.
I think if you are an essential part of a team that wins 3 world championships, 3 Stanley Cups, and by essential part, I'm talking about the big 3, Crosby, Letang, and
Malkin,
the other guy, Malkin.
Gino, the Italian.
Yeah, Gino, the Italian.
The Italian.
He's not Italian.
Mother Russia.
Yes.
Mother Russia.
Is he Russian? Is he Russian?
He's a Russia.
Okay. He is from Mother Russia.
I am score.
I must break you. All right. So
wait, can you put up the picture I sent you?
Yeah, I will. I'm getting to that here. I just want to say, Amy says Malkin gets dumb penalties.
He does.
Barrasso. No,
right.
too many bad stories about Barrasso.
Once you go in the Barrasso, then you got to go down that path.
Let's look at this historic picture that Hockey Jesus wanted me to pick.
Puck, shoot on net.
Everyone take a look at this picture and study it for 10 seconds.
Well, the first thing I thought of was that looks like 2 hockey players, a guy that's had too much plastic surgery.
Lemieux got some Botox.
And Herman Munster. Can you pick out Herman Munster? Who's Herman Munster?
That would be Evgeny Malkin.
Yeah, doesn't he look like Herman Munster?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Herman Munster.
Minus the bolts.
Yeah. T. Melodia says Tommy is a Hall of Famer on
Tommy is a Hall
on
of
Instagram.
Famer, but he's not getting his jersey retired in Pittsburgh.
He was not liked here. He had a pretty nasty reputation.
Yeah, he's like Barry Bonds. He's the Barry Bonds of the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Just without steroids.
Well, you don't know that.
Yeah. Okay. So my thoughts were two hockey players, plastic surgery, and Herman Munster.
Answer me this. If you saw these 4 guys walking down the street, would you think A, they just walked out of a gym? B, they just walked out of a library. C, they just walked out of a laboratory somewhere and are not real people? Or pick your own.
That's too many. I already told you what I thought.
I think it's 4 guys walking out of an engineering firm.
Engineering firm. Yeah. They just came out of work. It's 5 o'clock. Yeah.
Well,
they're going to go to the local.
Well, that's the thing. Pub. That's the thing about hockey players. I think one of the reasons why I think people do love hockey players is because they are pretty indistinguishable from the regular person on the street.
I mean, I don't know, man.
Like
look at these guys.
They look like the biggest bunch of nerds.
Look at these guys.
It's not like there's no 7-footers like in the NBA.
Huge. Well,
there's no gigantic freaking guns like in the NFL.
No, but their legs. I mean, Yager's got huge legs.
Well, yeah, they do. They all have huge legs, but who's looking at their legs?
Yeah, and they got huge backsides too.
Yeah, right. Apparently, Hockey Jesus is looking at their backsides. I would say that Mario looks like he's had a little work done.
Oh
Botox,
yeah,
Botox,
he's taking care of himself though. I mean,
I don't like that.
No pot belly on him. He's still got his hair.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Well, it's thinning though.
You know who
It's
needs the
definitely
plastic
thinning.
surgery is Evgeny Malkin. I mean, that is not a good looking man.
No,
right
that's
there.
like
never has been, never will be.
That's that. Like I said, it's Herman Munster.
They all got smoking hot wives.
Who's the? Well, I mean, they also have smoking hot bank accounts. So
right.
I mean, not that that's what women look for at all.
Correct.
You know.
But yeah, I mean, let's face it. I mean, if Evgeny Malkin didn't play hockey, he may still be single.
And still be at the engineering firm.
Right.
Thank you, Mark.
Here you go.
The
CD.
engineering firm was exactly
CD
Right.
says a
They
law
just
a
look
law
like-
firm that just bought a box at the arena.
there you go, law firm. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though, that is in all honesty, that's a great picture. I mean, as a Pittsburgh fan, as a Penguins fan, to have four guys up there with that pedigree. I mean, you look at Lemieux, probably the greatest hockey player of all time, especially if you're a Pittsburgh person. You most likely you believe that. Crosby, who used to be Sid the Kid, mentored, look at him now, still playing at a high level at 36. Malkin, unfortunately, it seems like he's finally kind of hit that wall, but great player. And of course, Jaromir Jagr. I mean, it just doesn't get any better than that. That should be a poster.
Yeah.
That reminds me of
It's the Mount Rushmore of Pittsburgh Penguins.
That's exactly right. And that reminds me of the posse of the Redskins, Sanders, Clark, and Monk, although
I love the way this guy brings it back to the Redskins.
I have to.
How many times am I going to have to say, how could they fire North Turner when they were 6-2 back in '84?
Now I don't have to. Now I don't have to say that. I think that was 90. I think that was 90.
that was
99.
96.
Who the hell
That was
knows
90.
when it was?
It was 99. They were 6-2. Anyway.
It's been downhill ever since.
All right. Let's bring that. Anything more you want to say about these four Jablonkis?
Clearly, you're talking about four Hall of Famers.
Oh, absolutely.
But I just am struck by how normal they look.
I go ahead.
So
go ahead.
Steve, now it was a really nice ceremony. I didn't catch a lot of it, but my wife was watching it.
Thank you, Amy.
He seems like a good guy. Would have been really nice to cap it off with a victory. What happened in the game?
Yeah,
Well, in the
seriously.
game, it was really pretty simple. They came out in the first period, and Sidney Crosby actually shot a one-time pass on a power play.
Thanks, Mike.
From Malkin, and guess where it went?
In the
the
net.
back of the net. The back of the net. Not the side of the net, not off a crossbar. It went into the net. And then guess what they decided to do? They thought one goal was enough.
So
Clearly, they don't listen to the Hockey Jesus.
that's right. And I'm going to bring that up right now. So we're just going to go right to this right now. This is Hockey Jesus down here. Hockey Jesus preaches on the podcast, on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you get your friggin' podcasts after every single hockey game. And he has started doing a video podcast on YouTube, the Sports Porch YouTube. I'm telling you guys, while you're watching the show, T Melodia says Ron Francis was there too. I didn't know that.
Ronnie Gooneyberg.
While you guys are watching the show right now, take a minute, go over to YouTube, subscribe to the Sports Porch on YouTube. We're going to be pushing a lot of content out there. Hockey Jesus is taking the reins, and he's going to be his own producer and technical director on this. I love what you did last night, your first show. It actually came off really, really great. Excellent effort.
A premiere.
Everybody's talking about it,
and he's
in YouTube land.
I've been getting emails like crazy, and so preach Hockey Jesus. We'll go there, and then we'll move on to a little Steelers Buccos and
So
our other
after
fun
the
stuff.
one-time power play, they went 1 for 2 in the first period. They just said, "Nah, we're not going to play the rest of the game."
Mhm.
And they actually held on for most of the game, which is just frankly shocking. They went a full period and then about 10 minutes, and then with about 10 minutes left, finally the Kings said, "Nah, we can score," and they slappered it one past Jari. By the way,
Slappered it is slappered a word.
Oh, yeah.
Sure,
slappered.
sure.
There was
everybody
another
did.
word you said earlier that I thought I wrote down.
Just keep writing them down. And
Yeah.
I'm trying to make disciples here.
Okay, sorry.
All right. So after that went in, then it's like, okay, the Penguins are going to get a power play now. Things are going to be good. Everything's going to be fine. Except, excuse me, except when Lars Eller decides to drop a pass at the blue line, and Kempe grabs it, goes down the ice, and scores a shorthanded goal, which the Flyers are actually very good at. But it turns out so are the Los Angeles.
Yeah, like they're the
Kings.
second best. At it.
The second best.
Yeah.
At it, yeah. And you know why? Because they play their superstars on the penalty.
You know, you're right, and you're right about that. All the good teams do play.
Kreider plays on the penalty kill. Konechny plays on the penalty kill. Kempe and the other guy that plays for the Kings, who's a superstar, they play on the penalty kill. They all play on the penalty kill, but not Sid. Sid gets to sit on the bench, and that's something that the new coach, when they hire him, has to change.
Oh, so you're a little down on Sully?
Well, I don't remember who it was. Hot Wax 69 or whoever on the
Soul
Instagram.
Wax.
Yeah. Soul Wax said it all. You're just gonna have to set this team on fire and start from anew.
Yeah, I think I heard somebody talking today. They were talking about the Carlson trade and that we were oversold on the effect that would have on the power play. Do you think we were oversold?
No. I don't think they know how to use him on the power play.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't think they know how to run a power play. Actually, the reality is the Flyers are worse on the power play than they are, and they still are like 11 points ahead of us. So that just shows you how bad the Penguins are.
Here's an interesting question for the hockey Jesus. Is Mike Sullivan a good coach? And
you mean still?
No, because what I'm going to say is,
because didn't he win back-to-back cups?
Yes, but was he more or less just a benefactor of a team with some really great players playing in their prime? Okay, maybe a good decision or two, going to the other goaltender, Murray, you know what I mean? Instead of Fleury, let's say. But
they both played.
Is he a good coach? I mean, because at this point, now that the players aren't as good as they once were, it's a continual lose in the first round of the playoffs, and then ultimately you finally miss the playoffs.
Yeah.
This year looks like it's going to be borderline. Or does he just run his course here? What do you think?
Well, I think all teams that have won back-to-back cups and 3 cups in 8 years, the coach has to be good, right? He's not a bad coach.
Well, but the first was with Bilesma.
Well, no,
right?
No, so
it was a half year.
So Bilesma took them to the Stanley Cup Finals the year before, and they lost to Detroit the year before. Then they came out, they soiled the bed. They looked terrible, and they said, "This coach has run his course," and it's really it's always about the players, right? If the players come to the management and they say, "We don't trust in this guy anymore. This guy's lost us," and they can see it, they'll make a change. And that's the thing. That's the thing that always keeps coaches around. The players say, "No, we believe in him. We like his system." And they wouldn't want somebody else to come in. And if they do, that usually means you're going to break up the team, because a new coach is going to have to bring in new players because they're not going to buy into a new system, right?
I think Krista Flitch is making my point.
Yeah, he said, Mark, are you saying Sully is Tomlin benefiting from prior leadership?
No, and that's absolutely false.
Yeah, I agree with Steve.
Just because they won the cup in 16 and 17. Their first cup they won in 2010. I mean, 2009. Sorry,
yeah,
2009. So that's a long time.
Well, that was a long time. That's true.
And he definitely had that team at that point. And remember, when Sully here's what Sully, I think, has lost. When he came up, you know what he did? He brought all the young guys with him from Wilkes-Barre.
Right.
And that's what allowed them to win the cup. They had Colby Armstrong on there. They had Malone up there. They had all these young talent. And of course, they had superstars, right? And they had a really good goalie who's been playing in the league for a while. And they had Crosby and they had Malkin. And then they just surrounded them with really young talent that knew how to score goals also. I mean, they hit the lottery the next year, the year they won the cup, with Jordan Stahl. Everybody forgets that Stahl was on that,
right,
on both of those teams.
Right.
So is it more poor GMing than Sully?
No, I think I honestly believe that COVID killed the Penguins. When Rutherford left in a hurry, he left a vacuum that they're still trying to replace 3 years later. And they've done it with 2 GMs now. They're probably going to do it with a new head coach, and they still haven't figured it out. And that's the problem. They keep scrambling to say we can plug the leak here. and we could plug the leak here. And they've run out of fingers already. There are just so many leaks on this team. At some point, you got to blow up the dam and build another one.
Okay, last comment from Instagram. T Melodia says, should they trade Jake? I say no. And then we're going to move on to some other stuff.
Well, so I
may not be able to.
Yeah.
Injury.
Well, I think they will, because he really only has a broken pinky finger.
Oh,
so it's not like he tore a ligament or something. So he'll be back, and it's a broken bone. So those heal quickly, and when he comes back, he's skating, so he'll be in good shape. Do I think they should trade him? It depends on what they do with that money. If they go out and get another winger that's just going to play with Sid, what's the point? You already know that Gensel can play well.
Yeah, he fills that role, right?
If they're going to blow up the team, and that means they're also going to get rid of Raquel, and Carter's gone next year, and maybe if they decide to use some of that money to sign Pedersen to keep him, and still have to go get wingers. This team needs scoring.
Right.
It doesn't need to lose more scores. It needs to gain more scores. And here's the other thing. What are they going to get in return? Probably somebody young who can play soon, right? Who knows when Sully's going to play him? They're going to get draft picks. We've already shown that Sully doesn't like to play the guys that are down there with Poland and Nylander. Do you really trust Sully to start a rebuild whenever you trade him? If they think that they are still close, which I don't think they are anymore, but if they need to get more scoring, why get rid of Jake at this point? It doesn't make sense. And by the way, they probably already know what the number is to sign him. My guess is they already know they can sign him, so they're not going to trade him. But if they do trade him, then it'll be because he wanted 9 or 10 million on the open market, and he'll get it. He'll get it.
Little side note, by the way, did you see the unbelievable Rangers win the other day?
I saw it was 6-5, but I was too busy watching the Yager.
Well, this was the exciting part. They did it in the last 2 minutes with 2 empty net goals.
Oh, did they?
2 empty net goals, and then they won it like immediately into overtime.
Well, it helps the Penguins think that they're still in it.
Yeah.
Well, because they beat the Islanders.
They beat the Islanders, yeah.
Well, the Islanders get a loser point, right? So that loser point's really killing them, because the Flyers got a loser point, and the Islanders get a loser. All they have to do is get loser points at this point, and they'll be okay.
Okay, guys, now that's it for the Hockey Jesus. Thank you, Hockey Jesus. You can listen to him.
Maybe the
longest Hockey Jesus segment of all time.
Yeah, well, he deserves it. He worked hard for it. The Hockey Jesus preaches on the podcast,
football,
on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you get your freaking podcasts, after every single Penguins game. And we drop this podcast right after the show at the same place, iHeartRadio app, Apple Pod, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasts. I'm
just seeing this. T Melodia on Instagram says no one cares about the filthy criers.
Yeah, I know. I put that up. The filthy criers. I love that.
That's my favorite statement ever.
The filthy criers. I never saw that. Yeah,
she gets a gold star for that one.
Yeah, absolutely. He or she or whatever it is.
Whatever your pronouns are. Thank you.
We try to stay away from pronouns on this show. And
come see me tomorrow on YouTube.
That's right. Tomorrow night, the Sports Porch YouTube. Subscribe right now. Head over there, please. We'd really appreciate that. And of course, subscribe to the podcast anywhere you get your podcasts. I do want to just a quick couple Steelers things here. Will Justin Fields end up in a Steelers uni?
Now, remember, I had sent out to you guys that the odds of him being on the Steelers were currently higher than the odds of him returning to the Bears.
Crazy.
Now, I still think it's unlikely.
Thanks, DG, for that. Yes, we are the Black and Gold Sports Porch. There's somebody else that started a sports porch called the Real Sports Porch.
Really?
Yeah, and they can go screw themselves. All right.
Really?
Anyway, thanks for putting that up, DG. Black and Gold Sports Porch, baby. Black and Gold. Actually, I'll put the link up for the YouTube Sports Porch here in the comments, and you guys can just click on it, subscribe. Go ahead, buddy. You were doing a Justin Fields thing.
Yeah, I already said it.
Yeah, I wasn't listening to you as usual.
Mark, I was listening to you.
Yeah,
I love the fact that that Justin Fields has a better chance of being here as opposed to staying in Chicago, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Probably not.
Maybe it's just it's a play to get people to put more money on him coming to the Steelers.
I don't know though. I mean, it certainly doesn't have a feel though that there's a recognition that the Steelers believe that they don't have the guy right now?
I think everybody believes that, but their actions are proving otherwise.
Well, yeah,
they've already said they're not bringing back Mitch, which means they have only one quarterback on the roster now, literally one,
right?
And that's Big Ken, and that's it. So they're basically they're saying that we believe in Ken and we don't want a competition, and we're not even thinking about going out and getting anybody. I think it's media who's pushing this narrative that Tomlin loves Justin Fields, and maybe he does, but I've never heard him say it. Have you heard him ever say anything about Justin Fields? No, never. So I just think that that's the match. That's the script that the NFL wants to write.
You know, I've heard an awful lot of chatter out there that Mike Tomlin really, really does like Justin Fields. Of course, I'm not, like when Justin Fields was at the Combine, at the Senior Bowl, Tomlin spent a lot of time with him. What I think is interesting is, and I go back to this, when they drafted Kenny Pickett, all the talk was how much Mike Tomlin liked Malik Willis. That was a smokescreen. We know that now. Hindsight sometimes is 20/20. So,
although not necessarily, for all we know, they had them graded right next to each other, and they just decided to go with Kenny at the end.
It's possible. It's possible. Yeah. But the thing about it is that I think it's too early. And because football is over and the Steelers obviously have an issue at quarterback, now the speculation starts. So in being realistic and looking at this, the Steelers have a hole at quarterback. They just, and I get it. Like Steve's point about the Steelers organization and how they operate is spot on. And the loyalty thing, and the defense thing. But I go back to the fact that for the better part of 2 decades, not a single person in the Steelers front office had to even think about a quarterback because they had their franchise guy.
Yeah.
And I think that there was very little foresight put into what if. And the what ifs, when you have a guy like Ben Roethlisberger, and let's say he's played in the league 8 years. All right. So that's starting to get on a long time for a starting quarterback. You need to have a contingency plan in place no matter what. Like, how are we going to handle the exit? Because he could have left through free agency. He could have just retired like Andrew Luck. He could have just ended up being dirt for the last 10 years of his career instead of just like the last 2 or 3, in which he wasn't really horrible. He was just a little bit better than average.
He was running Canada's offense too.
Right. So I go back to that. And so I'm looking at this and saying, as the Steelers go into the offseason, I think there's a greater and greater chance that they do replace Kenny Pickett or try to replace Kenny Pickett. And I think it would be a good thing if they did bring in a guy like Justin Fields. This whole notion about bringing in Ryan Tannehill to mentor him because he was with Arthur Smith.
That's what Mitch was supposed to do.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Number one.
That didn't work out too well.
There's also a little bit of Russell Wilson.
Yeah, they talk about Russell Wilson too. I'm just saying we're doing all this speculating because we're as Steelers fans in Pittsburgh, they're the franchise. They're the franchise. So we want to know. And I think we just have to kind of give it a break and let the off season play out. The combine's coming up, guys that are supposedly going to be drafted in the first round. Some of them may fall, some of them may rise. Who knows what Chicago ultimately decides? I mean, the guy was improving in Chicago. Basically, they got him a receiver, and next thing you know, DJ Moore comes online. They get him a receiver. He looks better. So, my personal jury is
they got Claypool too.
Is completely out. Jeff G says no Russell Wilson, please.
Yeah, with you,
I happen to agree. DG says I read Dulac saying the Steelers hope to re-sign Rudolph for a bargain to use his backup competition. They're not too interested in bringing in another expensive veteran.
Yeah,
I can't say I know anything about that or not. Can't buy a franchise QB in Pittsburgh, right?
No,
because they don't want to spend the money.
They got to spend it on their defense.
Yeah, which was not the best. T. Melodia says the Chief is rolling over in his grave.
Indeed, Melodia.
Okay, next up here, real quick, for those of you who enjoyed the Pirate and the Buccos report last year, it will be coming back next year. I'm going to do a spring training preview. Now that the spring training games are starting, we kind of know they've brought in some mediocre pitchers.
You're going to have to do a lot of research to learn who's on the team.
I want to know how fat the first baseman is.
Rowdy Tellez. Yeah. Let's just say he's fatter than me. I know that for sure.
I want to know height, weight, and belly size.
Now there are some guys out there that are not signed, and they brought up these names, and some of them are ridiculous. Like one of the names they brought up was Cody Bellinger isn't signed, and I laughed because there's no way in hell the Pirates are signing Cody Bellinger. No. Just ain't happening. No. There's another pitcher.
Jordan Montgomery, Blake Snell,
Blake Snell is available.
Blake Snell, he used to pitch for us.
Blake Snell,
didn't he?
No,
I don't think so.
San Diego is where he was. He won a Cy Young with, I can't remember. But the point is, these aren't the kinds of guys that the Pirates bring in because they're gonna require too much money. So we're gonna have my preseason.
Just said money.
Yeah, money. Preseason spectacular is coming up. All right.
I can't wait to see that.
We're going to move on to our fun segments tonight. Before we do that, I want to remind you, you're watching the Sports Porch Pittsburgh all over the world on Facebook, Instagram, X, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And I drop the podcast right after the show, anywhere you get your podcasts. And please subscribe and leave us a review. Hockey Jesus is on YouTube now. Love it. I put the link for the YouTube channel in the comments, so please subscribe. Would love to just build that channel up. First segment here that we just love to do tonight is something we call What We're Watching. And it should be pretty obvious, but I'm going to explain it to you if this is your first time here. It is what we are watching, what we are streaming. Look, we grew up in the antenna TV age. That then
rabbit ears,
3 stations.
Then it moved. Yeah, we went from like
black and white,
from like 3 stations, black and white, to like, remember the cable boxes that you had to punch the numbers on? We
had one with a dial.
Did you? Nice. Yeah, ours was the punch. Dink, dink. And if I pushed 2 buttons down halfway, I could get HBO and watch the late night titty movies.
Oh yeah, of course you did. You figured that one out right away.
Yeah, I figured that out.
Yeah. How can I get this Skinamax?
Yeah, they didn't have Skinamax back then, but they had HBO.
It came on pretty quick.
I'd sneak downstairs at 2 a.m. on our black and white TV
like that,
and banging on there, and then I'd see
you'd wake up, you have like calluses on your fingers,
like a nude. Yeah. T. Melodia, I think
your mom was like, "What are you doing? Why are you waking up with?"
I think you made Melodia feel uncomfortable.
No, she said 10 stars, A+, A+++. Thank you. So what are we watching now? Since there's millions and millions of things, and we fancy ourselves connoisseur. Yeah, 2, 4, 11,
and 13. Don't forget 22 and 53.
Or the channels. These are a couple of the things that we've been watching or streaming. We talk about them. We tell you whether we like them or not. We joke about them. We make fun of each other. I am going to start with who should I start with tonight? I'm going to start with the Grand Schwabini tonight.
All right.
The Grand Schwabini. This is something I have not seen anything about. So I'm going to put that up there. What is that?
Suburra, Blood on Rome.
Oh, you told me this is kind of like Gomorrah.
Oh yeah.
This is actually
this is all Schwab.
It was the directors of Gomorrah made a movie called Suburra.
Okay.
And then after the movie, which by the way I haven't seen the movie yet.
All right.
Suburra is 3 seasons, and now they just recently started a spin-off, which is a complete continuation of it, called Suburratena or something like that. And
that's too much Italian for me. And
you have to read the sub.
And so basically, it's in its 4th season right now.
Okay.
Wow.
And it's really good. I mean, you know me, I'm just
let me see, drama. Somebody gets their head chopped off. These guys got to track them down.
It's real Italian mafia. I mean,
it's real Italian mafia, drugs.
All of Schwaber's favorite things.
Yeah, but
his favorite food is Italian food. So I think he just wants to be Italian.
This one is a little different than Gomorrah because it takes on a little bit more of a political angle, and it also looks a lot at the the seediness, the dark side of the Vatican. And it's kind of neat in the way it sort of starts out. It's kind of like there's
the Vatican.
It's kind of like there's three guys. Like one is a cop's son. One is of a particular crime family, and he's sort of like the bastard child of the crime family. And then another is sort of like kind of like I guess somebody who's not really thought of very highly in another crime family. And the three of them sort of find themselves in a position to where they've fallen upon this situation to where if they work together, they could grab some power. And so it kind of starts out that way.
In the Vatican or not in the Vatican?
Well, the thing deals with a priest. So
yeah.
So basically it's like you get kind of three unlikely friends coming together.
I'm gonna watch this with Max, and he can show me all the bars he hit and all the videos.
No, it's good. I really like it. It's really good. It's definitely it's one. If you liked Gomorrah, you will like it.
Did you watch Loudermilk?
No. Yes, I'm watching it right now.
Yeah,
I'm watching it right now.
I'm not a fan. I don't really like it.
I love it, man. Yeah, I'm in the second season. I think it's really good.
Well, let's put it this way. I'm in the first episode, and
you're in the first episode. You're going to say that you don't like it?
Yeah, I know.
No, I will tell you this. It does grow on you.
Right.
It does grow on you.
That's what I was going to say. I started watching it with my lovely wife, and she just kind of decided.
Well, does it hit a little too close to home?
That's hilarious.
I don't even know what this is about.
Yeah. Well, it's about a guy in AA. No, listen, I'm totally comfortable about talking about this. Yeah. I'm an alcoholic. I haven't had a drink in 14 years, 15 years.
That's pretty good too.
15 years. Absolutely.
Hey, I didn't have a drink this weekend.
Yeah. Well, you're on your way.
That's like 14 years.
Did you just get your 15-year chip?
Yeah, easy does it, motherfucker. One day at a time.
15-year chip?
No, I don't get the chips. I just go to the meetings.
Okay.
And so it doesn't.
You eat a lot of chips.
So here's
you do.
I eat a lot of things. I eat a lot of things.
More squats.
So here. Let me take the Suburra thing down, then we'll move on. So what I have to say about Loudermilk is this: as a recovering alcoholic, which is a serious subject, so I don't want to joke too much about it, but I watched that show, and it's about a guy who he runs an AA meeting, and it's not realistic the way he runs the meetings. I've never met any. Well, to somebody who goes to meetings and has experienced that,
right.
Like the humor around it, to me, it's not offensive at all.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of like, that's not really funny. Like there could be a way to do it funny, and so I think I just have to get into it.
Well, what happens is when you get kind of like to like the end of the first season, like beginning of the second season, you begin to like love all the characters that are in the group.
Right.
And it gets really funny.
And that's where I'm going. And the first thing I thought about him was he's a very resentful recovering alcoholic. Right. And usually when you're either in Narcotics Anonymous, which is a very similar program, the resentment is the first thing you let go of. And if you haven't been able to let go of the resentment, then you're not going to end up leading the meetings. That's just the way it works.
You're probably still going to be drinking.
Yeah, somehow he's in control. So that's what turned it off for me.
What kind of coffee do you want?
Yeah.
Yeah. You see that? Yeah.
And Amy May says I should really be proud of myself. That's something that I am not, Amy, but I am grateful. Let's put it that way. Very grateful. So moving on, what we are watching, I'm going to go to Hockey Jesus next. This is kind of a repeat because I think Schwaber, you were watching this.
Oh yeah,
and here it is.
There it is.
The Leftovers.
The Leftovers.
I did start watching this because Mark said, "Hey, you got to check this out." It's only 3 seasons, so I was in the middle and doing nothing, and I started putting it on, and I can't turn it off.
Yeah,
you can't.
Good.
Literally, it's. I can't believe how old it is.
I know.
How old is it?
I think it was like 2013 or something.
Maybe like 2014 or 2017 or something.
You know what? I might have seen it on the menu for HBO Max and like saw the years and
then you turn it off.
Like, this can't be.
But you know what? Actually, if you watch it, it doesn't seem older.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't. It seems like it could have been made now.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah.
And essentially the premise of the story is an event happens on October 14th where people just disappear. Like 3% of the world's population just disappear.
Yeah, like they don't find the bodies. They're just like you wake up and your husband's gone.
Right.
And you may or may not be thrilled.
Or in the case of one guy, he's having sex with somebody and she disappears.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That happened to me. Oh no, that was drunk.
I'm sure she never reappeared again. and
that's
so,
I'm this too. I'm you know what? I feel like I'm at a meeting right now. I'm sharing.
This event happens, right? And like some families, they don't lose anybody. Another family, they lose everybody. There's only one person left. So and it's really wild how they're like trying to cope with it, and they're like dealing with it. It's kind of like a 9/11 event where they want to be respectful of it, but yet they know that people are still struggling with it. And like there's these groups that basically all they do is wear white. They don't speak, and they just show up at people's house, and they'll be standing outside your house smoking a cigarette, not saying anything, right? They're not saying anything, and they just show up at your house, and they're just basically staring at you the whole time. And they're like, get off of my property. What the hell is wrong with you? And like they're like a cult, right?
Right. Yeah.
And they dealt with it by not remembering anything. They're like, don't remember anything. Like just forget about your past and leave everything. And like one of the guy's wives leaves him, and it's really wild at the dynamics between it all. And like the first season and the second season, they're connected, but they're really kind of different.
Yeah, they are.
And it starts to get into like this what happens after death thing. And I'm not through the third season yet. I just started the third season this past weekend, so I can't wait to see how it wraps up.
Interesting. Okay, so Instagram has kind of kicked us off for a minute.
Oh, CD watching Succession
because we are.
You're gonna love Succession.
We are. I'm just gonna fire Instagram back up real quick here, guys. So if you guys are watching on all the other channels, I'm getting the Instagram key back in here so I can get us back live on Instagram. Okay, next. Okay, so the Leftovers, guys, I will watch it. I guaranteed I'll watch it. You talk so much about it.
You'll watch
well,
it.
I want to be able to either debunk or not debunk your claim that it is me all the way. And I believe you that it probably is. All right, what am I watching? I have actually just finished. Actually, my wife and I watched it the other night. It's a documentary. It's called Lover, Stalker, Killer. And this looks good. This kind of hit home with me.
This kind of makes sense. Yeah. You know, I mean, that the two of you would watch it together.
The perfect Valentine's Day. It's Valentine's Day. What do you want to watch? Right. I think I want to watch Lover, Stalker.
We were holding hands. We were holding hands, and then each of us had a knife in the other hand. No, it's called Lover, Stalker, Killer, and it is on Netflix. And I did not put this up. Hold on a second, guys. We were throwing the show together so quick tonight. Lover, Stalker, Killer.
I don't think anybody's really going to have their evening thrown off if it's not in a banner.
Yeah, well, I will because I am a flawed perfectionist. So this is basically about a guy who gets a divorce. He has a couple young kids. He moves like a state away, but like right across the line in the Midwest somewhere.
Wait, you said this is a documentary. So this really happened.
This really happened. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the point of a documentary, Hockey Jesus.
I just figured.
So let me take a stab at this.
Nice.
So there's love.
Yeah.
Turns into a little, things aren't quite right. One of them starts stalking.
Yeah.
And then Stalker turns killer because he's upset with the one who tells him to stop stalking.
Okay, so
is that it?
So that's very pedestrian of you.
And that's it.
And it's not. It is, and it's not because you use the pronoun he, and it's actually the pronoun she.
So the big surprise is it's backwards.
Yeah,
from what we normally see.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. So let me get on with it here. He moves to another state. He's in his mid-30s. A couple years go by. He's trying to raise his kids. Seeing his kids here and there on the weekends and all that. He gets on a dating app. He finds a girl. They get together, they date for a while. He's very clear with her that, look, I don't want to be tied down to anything. And she's like, it's cool. They're having a great time.
Mm-hmm.
He happens to meet another woman who comes into his work.
Oh, not good.
She comes over to his house while he's there. The other girl shows up because she says, I left something at your place.
Who's that woman?
And then all of a sudden, the woman he met at work leaves, and then she starts sending him texts saying, you've totally fucked up my life. I'm going to kill you.
Is there a rabbit?
All this kind of stuff.
In the kitchen?
And then she supposedly she burns down the first girlfriend's house, but she's disappeared.
So worse than a rabbit boiling in the kitchen.
It goes on for years and years and years. And then they find out at the end there's a twist. And I'm not going to tell you the twist because I don't want to ruin it for the people who might actually watch it.
You could ruin it for me. I feel like I've seen it.
Yeah. This is ridiculous. If you watch this show at all, or if you listen,
people, when they walk into a room and they see a dead body, they call the police.
Yeah.
But you didn't do that, did you?
Here's Jerry Seinfeld. What about the stalking? Here you go. DG says he's watching True Detective.
Stalking really just saying hello?
True Detectives, Night Country. It's been all right so far, but not as good as the previous True Detectives, these Jodie Foster 10 show series. All right, so DG, the thing about True Detectives, and I am watching that right now, and I'll talk about it at a later.
I haven't started season.
I'm only one. Yeah, I'm only one episode in.
I'll tell you what, season 3.
Season 1 was awesome.
Season 1 was incredible.
Yeah.
Season 2 was half decent.
Season 3 was better.
Yeah, this one is I like it, but you know what I find? I find right now that Jodie Foster seems to be channeling an older Clarice Starling.
Oh yeah.
Can you pick that up in there a little bit, Schwaber?
Well, I've only watched one episode.
Oh.
Wait, okay. This one's in Alaska, right? The third one?
It is in Alaska, yes.
I find Jodie Foster, for whatever reason, great actor, but I find her just be very unappealing.
Yeah. Well, she's in her 60s.
I like Jodie Foster.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she's not as appealing as she was when she was in her 20s. Wow. Not to insult any of you fine-looking 60-year-old ladies out there.
That's our whole audience.
Yeah, but
oh well.
You're all very attractive. You're all very, very attractive. So anyway, Lover, Stalker, Killer on Netflix. Let's see. Next segment up for bid on the Sports Porch is something that we really love. We get a laugh out of headlines that mean something. Hey, listen, you got 500 million news apps out there, and we all have our favorites, and the three of us have some unique favorites between us. And once in a while, a headline, and sometimes we'll go out to the funny sites and look for a funny headline, and once in a while, a headline on a regular site will just grab you, and you'll be like, that is ridiculous. So that's what we do. I'm going to go back to the Grand Schwabini. I'm just going to put the headline up.
Okay.
Here it is.
Put her up there.
Schwabini's headline that means something.
The diaper spa denied permit to operate in New Hampshire town. So I'm sure some of you are saying, well, what is a diaper spa?
This was the one I wanted to do.
The spa.
Really? You saw, you thought about, okay.
The spa part is what gets me. Like,
so
what do they do with do they rub you down with diapers?
So in Atkinson, New Hampshire, the diaper spa is a haven for adults who role play as children.
Yes. Literally wear diapers.
So it is open to all diaper wearing individuals who seek acceptance, respite, and care.
This is true.
The facility is decorated like a nursery with toys and adult sized cribs. Services range from $200 an hour for virtual play dates to a $1,500 a day experience that pampers the little one inside of you. The owner, Dr. Colleen Ann Murphy, said the community of ABDL, that's adult baby diaper lovers, is vast. Being a part of this community brings comfort and solace, she said, and added that her services do not have any sexual components.
Sure.
Now, some Atkinson,
it's real, David.
Some Atkinson, New Hampshire residents are concerned, though, that this is something that they wouldn't want their kids exposed to. However, Dr. Murphy said once again, People tend to fear anything that they fail to comprehend.
Yeah.
Denied the permit. We'll see if the diaper spa opens.
I mean,
who knows?
The permit was denied, so it's probably not opening back up.
It's not looking good.
Why is it okay? Why is it? This is a lot to unpack here. Why is it called a spa? Do they get massages in the adult side cribs?
Well, you heard him. Virtual play dates.
What is a virtual play date with a dude in a diaper? Isn't that stuff the FBI arrests you for? I mean, come on.
What would you normally do on a virtual play date?
I don't know. I've never had a virtual play date.
Maybe you need to investigate this a little bit further before you dismiss it.
You want to know what? Right now, this is my play date. That's what this is. At least according to my wife. This is our play date right here.
Well, she isn't wrong about that.
All right. Well,
I feel I've told you all you need to know about the diaper spa.
Yeah, and Mike Lawrence says, "What does depends come to?" I don't know, Mike, but yeah, that's a good one. Okay,
that is great.
Now this one is going to be a little shocking. I just want to warn you that it has an uncomfortable subject in it, but I could not put this up. There's just no way. I had to do this, and I'm going to read the article.
Oh boy,
the headline is, "Incest is best. The Economist says copulating cousins cool in most cases."
Wow, The Economist is really branching
This is the real publication.
Yeah.
All right. With America facing population collapse thanks to a pandemic, which compounded already shrinking birth rates.
Wait, wasn't our population going to be too big to sustain the planet?
Could you let me just let me talk about incest? Can I talk about incest for a little while, please? Can I please talk about incest?
I'm out.
With America facing population collapse thanks to a pandemic which compounded already shrinking birth rates, petrified young men who don't want to get the Me Too'd for trying to get past first base and record record numbers of young Americans identifying as anything but heterosexual, The Economist wants you to know that it's probably fine to bang your cousin, which they also note is illegal in 25 American states.
Which states is it not illegal in? West Virginia?
I've been doing the research on that. I'll get back.
Okay. All right.
After a dig at Kentucky for a quickly withdrawn proposal to remove first cousin from the state list of incestuous family relations, the article goes on to actually explain the risk of genetic mutations among the offspring of first cousins is greater than non-incest relations. However, the increase is actually quite small.
This could have a big impact on family reunions.
Justifying kissing cousins further, The Economist suggests that it's unfair to prevent incest because many other couples face far higher risks of genetic complications for their offspring, and those unions are not banned, such as people with recessive genes for certain disorders, such as sickle cell anemia or cystic fibrosis. Their offspring has a 25% chance of being born with that disorder, yet those marriages are allowed. The law against first cousin marriage is a major form of discrimination, said University of Washington Department of Medicine Director of Genetic Counseling. I will leave her name out. The Economist does go on to let us know that the Bible does not directly ban sexual relations between cousins. How else would all of mankind descended from Adam and Eve?
Well, when the Bible was written, there weren't a lot of people there to choose from.
Yeah, right.
You're going back at least 6,000 years.
Now, maybe now the article, there's a lot of other crap in it. It finishes up saying maybe the plan is to either get people banging their cousins or keep the border open while praising Biden's amazing jobs recovery. So I don't want to get political on you.
They
but
don't
I
actually say banging in the article.
I'm reading it right. Maybe the plan is to either get people.
Is this a Zero Hedge article?
This is Zero Hedge.
Yeah. Zero Hedge. We got hedge.
Listen, guys, you got head. Professionally speaking, what does Dr. Schwabini feel about these clients? And I think he's talking about the diaper people. We really need Dr. Schwabini professional take on these clients too. I thought that the diapers were bad. He's talking about the banging cousins thing. So
yeah, it's something I'm gonna have to really study and think about.
Yeah, you really gave us a lot to think about with those two headlines. I can tell you.
Yeah, I know, and I think it's funny. He sends me a headline. I had this headline queued up for like the last week. I read it sometime last week, and I was like, "Oh, that's my headline." And then he comes in. The Economist. He comes in with diaper wearing adults that like go to
diaper
like
spas,
play dates.
Yeah.
There's
So
spas.
that kind of gives you a little
They're
background
struggling.
I think I won this week.
how we actually feel.
think
I don't know. I think this was a virtual tie.
Well,
I
yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
Last question for you guys. Did you ever have a cousin you wanted to kiss? I mean, just kiss. Did you ever have a cousin you were in love with?
No. It seems like you have.
Oh yeah, definitely. No, I had a cousin. I don't remember her name. I was like 14. I had a crush on her, but that was it. She was just like, wow, I have a really cute cousin.
Well,
Nice
now
save.
it makes sense.
Now I am
nice save.
I am from York, Pennsylvania. That's all.
That's true. You are from. That's kind of like West Virginia.
Not really.
It's similar.
It's like Backwoods, Maryland.
Just no moonshine.
No moonshine.
All right, listen, guys, this has been a great show. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for participating. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're trying to get that baby up the charts. Having a great time. Hockey Jesus Preaches there. I want to thank the Grand Schwab Beanie. I want to thank Hockey Jesus. Most of all, I do want to thank you for watching the Sports Porch on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube,
Thank you.
X, LinkedIn, and I am going to drop this podcast in about 15 minutes. So you can go back and listen to it as many times as you want on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you get your freaking podcasts. Subscribe, leave us a review, and we'll see you guys next week. I am your technical director, and I am out.
And no, he doesn't have a crush on his cousin.